Hello and welcome to something a little bit different. Today we're going to be exploring some of my most played games using a website called exophase.com, which collates data from my Xbox profile, my Steam profile, my Switch profile, and my PlayStation profile. This does mean that we're going to be missing out on some data from some older games and also from some PC games which are not on Steam. In fact, my 3 most played games without a doubt are not on Steam but are PC games, and I will be talking about them when we reach the end of this list. Now, as to why I set the threshold to 30 hours, well, I started this video from 10 hours and 20 minutes in we hadn't reached 12 hours played yet, so it's just a time issue, really. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun to talk about some of my most played games. I know that they're not going to be all of my favourite games, because the amount of time played does not equal the amount of time enjoyed. For instance, one of my favourite puzzle games out there is called Cocoon. I think it's like a 4 or 5 hour game, but it was one of the best gaming experiences I had a few years ago. So yeah, that's not going to be here. So there's that to think about as well. And then just the general multi-platform weirdness, like old school RuneScape you can see here in my Steam hours. They do not correlate to my ultimate old school RuneScape hours at all. I just decided to play on Steam for a little while, and then I realised it's probably the worst way to play that game, so most of my hours not on Steam. But that being said, let's get into things. The first game we're going to be talking about today, with 30 hours and 28 minutes played, is Torchlight 2. So, Torchlight 2 on Steam. This is a game that I've never got very far through. This is a game that I've started so many goddamn times. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a Diablo-style isometric ARPG. In fact, I believe it's by some of the ex-Diablo 2 developers, and it's a game I play with Reese a lot. We kind of joke that it's our, like, when we're really tired and loopy, we decide to play Torchlight 2, and I don't know why. But I think I've got to Act 2, like, once. So that should give you an impression of, like, how many times I've started that game. It definitely suffers from that problem of, like, I want to play through this game to the end, but if I have to play Act 1 one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. Also, Torchlight 2 doesn't have a very interesting story or world, unfortunately. It's just a fun game. But yeah, I will undoubtedly play some more of it in the future. Then we have Unreal Tournament Game of the Year Edition. Interesting. Okay, so this is a game I would have thought, if I didn't already know from looking at it before, that I would have had like hundreds of hours in, because Unreal Tournament is a game that I'm always coming back to throughout all of my life. But I guess when I play Unreal Tournament, I don't exactly sit there and play it for hours on end. I'll usually play a couple of bot matches and then get out of there, and then I probably won't play it for like another 6 months or so, right? So these 30 hours are the accumulation of me doing that over the course of several years. But yeah, that's that's fun to see that up here. It probably is going to be the only Unreal Tournament game we see, because I don't think I've played as much 2004 or 3. But yeah, Unreal Tournament's fun. Then we got Final Fantasy 16, 31 hours and 10 minutes, which is unfortunately a game I have not finished. I was really enjoying this, and I got what I feel like is probably about halfway through the story, and then I got distracted by other things, as tends to happen to me. I was hoping that by selecting games which I've got 30 hours of game time in or more, I wouldn't run into too many opportunities to discuss my bad attention span, but here we are. Final Fantasy 16 is very much a game I would like to finish one day. Has one of my favourite soundtracks of anything ever. It's incredible. But beating that in terms of hours is Pokemon Let's Go Eevee Edition, at 32 hours and 15 minutes played. This is an interesting game. It's a remake of the first generation of Pokemon, but it's aimed at Pokemon Go players wanting to play some of the console experiences for the first time, and as such, there's no wild Pokemon battles. You just try and catch wild Pokemon that you encounter. There are still trainer battles, there are still gyms, and it was undeniably fun to re-explore Kanto with modern graphics, and indeed it's probably one of the better looking Pokemon games on Switch. They should have chased that graphical style instead of trying to go for fidelity if they weren't going to be able to achieve their goals, I feel like. But yeah, I like Let's Go Eevee. It has some, you know, it's a weird game in that it's it's kind of like sitting on the precipice of like, is it a mainline title or is it a kind of spin-off title? It is technically a spin-off title, but it very much has mainline energy, and it was fun to revisit Kanto even if it was for the 3rd time. But yeah, I like Let's Go Eevee. I have a soft spot for it. Then we've got Borderlands 2. Okay, I think that's more of a Torchlight 2 situation. I've never finished Borderlands 2. I feel like I've never got that far through Borderlands 2. However, I have started several characters. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry, I'm allergic to Borderlands. I'm allergic to Claptrap. But yeah, Borderlands 2. I know people who have put hundreds of hours into this game who love it. It's never done all that much for me. Oh my god, I need to get out of here. I really am allergic to Claptrap. Okay, Claptrap, that's his name. But yeah, Borderlands 2, it sure is a video game, isn't it? Where you shoot at dudes and there are randomized guns. I think the problem for me with Borderlands 2, and just Borderlands in general, aside from the humor, which I don't love, is that when you have these randomized guns, you do end up getting guns which, first of all, are not satisfying to like be like, oh, this one's an upgrade over this one, because I feel like there are too many different attributes you're weighing up against each other. It's like, well, this one has exploding ammunition and so on and so forth. It always feels like more of a chore to figure out which gun is better than the other. And you just get so many guns that it kind of like turns the pace into a bit of a slog when you're constantly trying to compare these guns all the time. And then, yeah, like I said, just the world and the characters and the story don't interest me all that much. It's not that funny. It thinks it's really funny and it's not that funny. But yeah, sorry, I did scroll up. Pokemon Fire Red version, which actually came out very recently on the Switch. I've got 33 hours in it already. I actually haven't finished it. You may be surprised to learn. That's easily enough time to finish the main story of Pokemon Fire Red. But the reason why I haven't is because I've been doing some shiny hunting. I haven't actually achieved any shinies yet. But it was fun to attempt to find a shiny Porygon from the game corner for a while. And I know that you can get shiny Pokemon much more easily in one of the more modern Pokemon games, but, you know, when you look at them in Pokemon Home and stuff and transfer them across and stuff like that, it does say where they came from. So there is inherent value in having a shiny Porygon from Pokemon Fire Red, because then it's like, hey, look at it, it's a Game Center shiny Porygon, which means I shiny reset for it, but yeah, I don't have one. So my actual profile in the game is probably something more like 22 hours, but yeah, I've been having some fun with that game. I'm taking my time with it. I just load it up when I want to play some Pokemon Fire Red, and playing it again, it really has driven home the fact that Fire Red is one of the best Pokemon games out there, in my opinion. Plus, it's interesting because there are so many times when I approach a franchise for the first time and I'm looking at the older games and the newer games, and fans are being like, oh, you know, the older games, things were not necessarily more difficult, but newer games have streamlined the experience and you don't have to worry about all of these things and stuff. It's interesting being the person, as someone who played Fire Red as their first Pokemon game, going back to it and being like, oh man, we really had to worry about all of this stuff that I haven't thought about for so long. Like, you know, like learning moves is a whole thing. Like, if I forget a move, I'm not going to be able to relearn it until much later, and if I want to get a Snorlax, there's only 2 in the entire game, and just stuff like that are pretty fun. So yeah. Okay, let's try and speed this up a bit. Mass Effect Legendary Edition on Xbox. I just picked this up on PC for deep discount. These 33 hours are mostly spent in Mass Effect 1. I actually kind of fell off Mass Effect 2, which is probably heresy, but I preferred Mass Effect 1, and I'm playing Mass Effect 1 again at the minute, and I'm really enjoying it again. So I think I'm gonna spend time on Steam just like trying to 100% Mass Effect 1 before I move on, in case it happens again. But yeah, for the longest time I've been looking back at this and being like, I really do need to get back to Mass Effect, and now I actually am getting back to it, so that's nice. Audio Surf 2. If you don't know what Audio Surf is, it's a game where you can take your music files and you can use them to generate a kind of a rhythm game kind of a thing, where you're piloting this ship that you can see in the thumbnail here when I'm not hovering over it, and you're avoiding grey blocks and collecting coloured blocks. The heart of Audio Surf is actually a bit more complicated than that, but I preferred a more simplistic game mode. Now, unfortunately, we do live in a world where most of us don't own our music files, we stream them. And so games like Audio Surf have kind of limited returns on them. However, You can finagle AudioSurf 2 in a way which allows you to stream music from YouTube videos. So that's why I've got 34 hours on it, but you'd have to look up a guide on how to do so. You have to like downgrade your version of a game to an older game or something, and then tweak a few things in some INI files, I think, but it is doable. The work was put in place to make that an option, and then I think the legal stuff stopped that from being allowed to happen, but we can make it happen ourselves, so that's fun. Then we've got Need for Speed Rivals on the PS4. This is a perfected game, you'll notice. For a little while I was obsessed with trying to get platinum trophies. I think I've given up on that endeavor. However, Need for Speed Rivals is one of the better, quote-unquote, more modern Need for Speed games, and yeah, it's cool. I think the servers might be shut down now, sadly, but it was one of those always online ones, which isn't quite as much of a slur when it comes to racing games. You can play it offline is the important thing to note here, but like the idea was when you loaded into the game, you would load into a server with, you know, other players, and some of them would be racers and some of them would be cops, and you could either be a cop and chase down racers or be a racer and avoid cops, but obviously you would still be playing kind of like single player races and stuff like that. It would just be the in-between drives between the different races. I always thought that was pretty fun. I actually might play that again at some point soon because I really like that one. Then we got Worms Reloaded, my favorite Worms game. If you don't know what Worms is, it's a turn-based, I guess, tactics game? It's not in the way you would think. It's a 2D thing, and your worms get placed at different spots on the landscape, and then think like tank artillery fire, like you're shooting a bazooka and the wind affects where it goes and it leaves craters where it explodes, and there's other weapons like grenades and banana bombs and sheep. If that sounds weird to you, that's the kind of weird Worms is. Most people prefer Worms Armageddon, and the most recent Worms game is, well, we don't talk about that one. The most recent real Worms game is WMD. I hope they make a new one because it's been a while, but they did do like an anniversary edition of Worms 2, but I don't know about that one. I've already got it, so what's the point? Then we got Wallpaper Engine, my favorite game. I use this program to get Wallpaper Engine backgrounds for the background of some of my Steam videos, YouTube videos sometimes. So there you go, there's some trivia for you. Stardew Valley, I've got 35 hours in. Here's the thing about Stardew Valley. I got to the winter months, and I found that a lot of the activities I wanted to do, especially in terms of farming, were closed off to me because of winter, and it just kind of felt like a, what am I going to do? I just kept running out of things to do, and it's like, what am I going to do? Go to bed at 3 PM every day? Like, it felt weird, and so I stopped. I think this might have been year 2 winter though, not year 1 winter. I don't remember anymore. All the same, yeah, there's probably more fun to be mined from Stardew Valley for me, but I haven't touched it in a very long time. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a game I played on Game Pass. I don't own this game anymore, sadly, but this is a game that I played almost to completion, but unfortunately, one of the final battles in the entire game ramped up the level requirements, and so I had to go grind, and I just did not want to do that. And so I kind of drifted away from it, which is a shame because I really liked this game. I really liked the world and the characters, and I really like the gameplay style. As someone who's tried to get into the mainline Yakuza series multiple times and just doesn't love that style of gameplay, I was like, this is what I want. And then, yeah, it was like, I can't remember anymore, but it was like a 5 or 10 level increase. I was like, Jesus, like I was doing fine and now I need to go grind for ages. It just felt bad. So maybe I was already falling behind on levels or something, I don't know, but it was annoying. And it kind of annoyed me away from the game, even though I've been told several times that the end of this game's story is a real tearjerker, and I would love it. So, yeah, I don't know. I want to play through this game again someday and try and get over that part, but that really annoyed me. Oh, there's Unreal Tournament 2004. Interesting. Okay, I've actually played more of 2004 than I have of the original. Wild. Probably not really, because I've played a lot of the original game on the PS2, and this one does not have a console release. But yeah, I would not have guessed that. That's interesting. Okay. Then we've got a perfected Assassin's Creed 2 for the PS4. That's right. I went and collected every goddamn feather. Again, for a little while I was interested in achievement completion. I don't think I care anymore, but Yeah, it was a fun time at the time. I remember I listened to a podcast and followed a guide and went and got all the feathers and stuff like that. But I love Assassin's Creed 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time, honestly. I've got the novelization of it right here. I haven't read it yet. But I love Assassin's Creed 2. And I am glad I have a perfected version of the game, actually. It does feel good still to look back on. Then we got Pokemon Legends Arceus. You may notice from the amount of time played that I have not perfected the game. It would probably be a higher playtime if I had. I love Pokemon Legends Arceus, first of all, but I didn't love Pokédex completion. In fact, this is a problem for me in every Pokemon game. I don't think I've ever completed a Pokédex properly. The only one I've quote-unquote completed is the one in Pokemon Diamond, and that's because that was only seen Pokemon and not captured Pokemon, and even that felt like a chore. And it's weird to say a chore because, like, the whole point of these Pokemon games is to try and fill out the Pokedex, right? And it's meant to be fun. But I just... After a while of being like, right, where's this Pokemon? And looking up how to find it because I can't figure it out myself. And then finding that it shows up in these areas. And I go to these areas and I can't find it. And it turns out it needs to be a certain weather condition. And it's really rare. And it just, after a while, I'm like, ugh. And Pokemon Legends Arceus, unfortunately, is one of those Pokemon titles... one of his rare Pokemon titles, which requires full Pokedex completion before it'll show you everything that it has to show you in terms of story and stuff. So yeah, I do need to go back and finish that at some point. But I have finished the main storyline, and I do love that game. Then we got Minecraft for the Xbox. It's Minecraft. What can you say? I was playing it on my Xbox for a while. It says Xbox One, by the way. I've never owned an Xbox One. It's just that it was an Xbox One game on Xbox Series S. And yeah, I was playing it on console for a while. I have a world saved on my console that I'm quite fond of. Not much more to say there. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. These 40 hours are not a single save file, unfortunately. They are multiple save files. The furthest I've ever got through this game is about halfway through. I've done 2 Divine Beasts. I really like this game. I want to play it through properly one day, and I did check out the Switch 2 version when I got my Switch 2 as well, and it looks real nice now, and it runs real nice now. But that was very much, you know, I've just got my Switch 2 and I want to see all the different things this console can do. I was never going to settle down on a single game in that moment in time. But yeah, I feel like a full Breath of the Wild playthrough, it still lies in my future. It's got that kind of Skyrim, like, explorative reward feel to it of, like, it feels good to explore the world and discover things and do side quests and find loot and take out enemies and stuff like that. It has better combat than Skyrim. But yeah, it's the only Zelda game I've really put any amount of time into. Despite liking the series, I've mostly just watched Game Grumps and Chugga Conroy do Let's Plays of the Legend of Zelda games. But yeah, interestingly. But yeah, Breath of the Wild. I like it. I want to play more of it. Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. Oh, I love this game so much. This is one of my favorite. We're getting into favorite games of all time territory up here. 40 hours, 58 minutes. That's got to be multiple playthroughs. I think multiple finished playthroughs. And in fact, if I stare at this too long, I'm going to start another one. I'm really excited for Lego Batman. The Legacy of the Dark Knight game that's coming out soon. And I did enjoy the Skywalker Saga, if you're wondering, by the way. But I think the Complete Saga is still my favourite Lego Star Wars game, my favourite Lego game in general. It's just perfect. Actually, it's not perfect. In general, I prefer the prequel levels to the original trilogy levels, which might be surprising to some, because I think Lego Star Wars 2 is generally more popular than the original Lego Star Wars. But yeah, it's those two games put together into a single package with some extras added. And my only real complaint is it doesn't have achievements. And I know I just said I don't care as much about achievements anymore, but I feel like for a collect-fun platformer, achievements very much add to the experience. But yeah, there are achievements on other platforms, and I have played this game on other platforms because of that, but not on Steam, sadly. Next up is Forza Motorsport. People have gripes with this game, and unfortunately it's probably the last Forza Motorsport we're ever going to get. But I like it well enough. I actually didn't realise I'd spent quite as much time in it. 42 hours. Unfortunately, I played this game through Game Pass, and so I had to end up picking up it again. So I do have a Steam version of the game with some hours in it as well. But yeah, Forza Motorsport, I like it. I also played Forza Motorsport 7, which is the one that came before it. And I like that one as well. But I wonder which one I've got more hours in. Probably this one. My only real complaint with Forza Motorsport is the way that they do the graphics. That sentence sounds so boomer. The way they do the graphics. They use some kind of upscaling method for resolution, which means if you're not playing it in 4K, the far vision, the horizon, the furthest point from the car, the far track, I don't want to say background because that's not strictly true. It always looks just a little blurry because they're kind of like upscaling it with like a DLSS thing or whatever, and I didn't know that was why until recently. I remember I've been tinkering with the settings on PC for so long, trying to make it look properly crisp and nice, but it's just never going to happen unless I'm using a 4K display, and that's annoying. But other than that, yeah, I really like this entry into the Forza Motorsport series. I like me a boring racing game sometimes, a Simcade racer. Then we've got Audio Surf 1. I've already talked about Audio Surf 2. Audio Surf 1 is the one that did it first. They actually recently added a new game mode to Audio Surf 1 to celebrate their upcoming game, which is not an Audio Surf game. And so I thought that was really cool. But unfortunately, this one does not have all that like YouTube integration stuff that you kind of have to hack together like I talked about previously. I'll tell you what, actually, one thing I did do in Audio Surf, which was really fun, surprisingly fun, is I listened to a Big Finish Doctor Who audio drama via Audio Surf, which might sound really dumb, and it kind of was, but it was also a way to keep my brain occupied on the story while it was being told and not getting distracted. This is before I kind of like realized I could just listen to audiobooks while playing some like really simple games, and it would tickle my brain in a zen kind of a way. Wouldn't you know it, Audio Surf, one of those games. Kind of goes together like chalk and cheese. After Audio Surf, it's LEGO Marvel Superheroes, 42 hours, 54 minutes played. Another 100% completion game. I like this game quite a lot. It's not my favourite LEGO game, that belongs to LEGO Star Wars, but yeah, LEGO Marvel Superheroes is a good one. I still haven't played LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, despite owning it for years, but I hear it's not as good as the first one, and that's one of the reasons I haven't played it. I've also tried playing a LEGO Marvel Avengers multiple times, haven't super enjoyed that one. It's fun, it's just not as fun as this one, because this one's more based on the comics, it's got characters that aren't in the movies and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a good game. It's probably still fun to play, check it out. And then it's Brighter Shores. This is Andrew Gower's post-RuneScape MMO. I've got 43 hours and 40 minutes in it, which, you know, it's an MMO. That's not a huge amount of time for an MMO, but it's still a decent chunk of time. I haven't played this game in a while now. They've overhauled progression a few times since I played, in feedback to a lot of criticism that the game received. It's still in early access. I still believe in this game. I think there is a solid core, a solid foundation to it, and I really do hope it finds success. I do intend to play this game again at some point in the future. Weirdest thing about this game is that if you buy a membership as a package of 3 months, it costs more than buying membership a month at a time for 3 months. That is the only time I have ever seen that in a video game, and that was weird. I don't know if they fixed that, but it was strange. I kind of felt a little bit duped when I realized that. But yeah, if you've ever played RuneScape, it's another one of those. It's a point-and-click game with lots of skills to level up and lots of synergy between the skills, like your fish to get fish to... Well, actually, no, it's not used in the chef skill. What do you fish for? I don't remember why you fish in Brighter Shores. It truly has been a minute. But either way, the various items you get from the various skills tie into each other, and there's combat and all that good stuff. And quest lines. Anyway, moving on to The Crew 2 for PlayStation 4. This is another 100%ed game. This is an open world racing game in the vein of, I think, Need for Speed. It's that kind of arcadey racing. But the game world is the entirety of the United States of America down to scale. Which means there are going to be vast swathes of fairly boring, like, open plains and stuff like that. However, if you want to go on a road trip, if you want to go from A to B and have it take hours, this is the racing game for you. It's genuinely quite a feat, and it's a shame that the Crew Motorfest took a different direction, because this really did set it apart from Forza Horizon, and in choosing to just set their next game on an island in Hawaii, in fact a couple of islands now in Hawaii, it just kind of became Forza Horizon, the store brand version. Whereas The Crew 2 had something more unique going for it. Although I do still like The Crew Motorfest as well, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's The Crew 2. The Crew 1 also had America to scale, but they just built upon it in The Crew 2. Unfortunately, you can no longer play The Crew 1 because Ubisoft are dumbasses. But yeah, they have taken steps apparently to ensure that you will be able to play The Crew 2 and The Crew Motorfest if they ever get taken offline, which they inevitably will one day. What have I played more than The Crew 2? It's Sea of Thieves. Wow, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, Sea of Thieves, 45 hours played. This is a game that I play primarily with my friends. I don't own it, I don't have access to it anymore, we haven't played it in a while, but it was a good Game Pass time, and some of my favourite gaming moments have been in Sea of Thieves with my friends. I remember one particular time when we didn't realise that harpooning an explosive barrel would make it explode when it reached the ship, and hilarity ensued. Then it's Starbound. 45 hours and 19 minutes played. Starbound, do you know Terraria? Think of it as No Man's Sky meets Terraria, except this was before No Man's Sky existed. It's Terraria in space. It's a really good space exploration game in that, you know, you initially start on a planet harvesting resources and stuff like that. It's a 2D side-scrolly one. But then you get in your ship and you go to these other planets. There are other types of stars to go and visit. There's a main storyline that I've actually never finished, but I'm very fond of Starbound. If I remember right, there did end up being some kind of scandal where, like, the publishers didn't pay the devs or something, but that came out after I played the game. But that's unfortunate. I don't remember the details. You'll have to go and look that up and make sure I'm not telling lies. But yeah, that's a shame because Starbound is a really solid indie game that I really do like. And then after that, we got... after that is No Man's Sky, or at least on Xbox. I've played No Man's Sky on multiple platforms. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up again, actually. In fact, I'm certain it will come up again, but as far as the Xbox version goes, I've played it for 46 hours. And then we got Pokopia, which is a very recent addition. I've played 48 hours and 51 minutes of Pokopia. Most of that is just playing through the main storyline, although Pokopia is very much a game that you play at your own pace. But I've also spent some time playing this game multiplayer with a friend and visiting the Good Vibes gaming community back when they were doing that server for a week. That little experiment they did, that was fun as well. I actually haven't touched that game in a while. There's still a lot I can do in it, but after I beat the main story, I kind of put it down. I was like, alright, I'll play this more another time, because very rarely do I focus on a game from start to finish in a reasonable period of time, and this is one that I actually did that with. So my attention span was like, please let me go and be distracted by something else. So I was like, here's your reward for finishing a game. We'll go play something else, despite still loving Pokopia. But you know what I've played more than Pokopia? Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls for the Xbox One. This is actually one of those games that I have easily more hours in on Battle.net, and that's not going to show up on here. I would hazard a guess at saying I've got about 200 hours played on Battle.net, but yeah, Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls is one of my favourite games of all time, like, no joke. I prefer it to Diablo 4, although if you were to ask me if I want to play Diablo 4 or Diablo 3 right now, I would say Diablo 4, simply because I've played so much Diablo 3, and there's only so much of that game you can play before, you know, it gets a bit repetitive, even though it's designed to have new experiences through repetition, if you know what I mean. But yeah, Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. I own this game on Switch as well, and I have no regrets owning it on multiple platforms. It's a masterpiece. Just like, I've never experienced a game like it in terms of reaching endgame and then like farming certain types of gear to make your build better, and then breaking the game and being able to like shoot the game up several magnitudes of difficulty because of how broken your build is all of a sudden, and it's just great. I've never had that experience in Diablo 4 so far, although I hear that Diablo 4 in its current state with a new expansion is very much facilitating that kind of an endgame for Diablo 3 enjoyers, so I should get back into 4 at some point, but I have baggage with 4. What have I played more than Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls on the Xbox One? I've played more Forza Horizon 3 on the Xbox One. This is the one in Australia, for those of you who don't remember, and I actually picked this one up after playing Forza Horizon 4 and after it had been taken off of digital storefronts because I didn't know I liked Forza Horizon yet. But I managed to pick up a CD key on a third-party website, which is not something I would normally do. But if you're not going to be selling your game anymore, the only way for me to acquire it on my digital Xbox is to do that. But yeah, Forza Horizon 3, I really enjoy. I still prefer 4 in general, but it's nice to own 3 and all of its DLC. I like driving around Australia and all that stuff. But apparently I like driving around racetracks more. I have played more Forza Motorsport 7 than I have the new one. That's interesting. I would not have guessed that. Okay. Yeah, Forza Motorsport 7. This one's a little bit different to the new one because, I mean, first of all, the new one introduces like a car leveling up system that people didn't like. That's not in this one. But also in this one is I don't know how to explain it. It's a system where before you race, you buy, I believe, certain cards which have like finish in third or higher, or like complete 3 laps in the rain, stuff like that, like little challenges. And if you do that, you get a credits bonus, which obviously exceeds the amount of credits it costs to buy them. And it's an interesting little system. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. It definitely makes this game stand out from other Simcade races. But yeah, that's Forza Motorsport 7. I have spent more time in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, though, which is interesting because it's not my favourite Assassin's Creed game of the modern ones, of the RPG-style ones. This is the culmination of 2 separate playthroughs that I've started up and got to a similar spot in both games. But yeah, I do actually like Valhalla. I should say, I do want to play through it in its entirety. I do like the big sprawling open world. I do like the combat. I do like the setting a lot, actually. But yeah, I haven't finished it because it's got a lot of open world design bloat, unfortunately. And it can feel like a bit of a slog after a while. I think I picked this game up on Steam at some point as well, so probably be continuing it there. But either way, up next is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for the PS4. Now, 53 hours played, I'm going to go ahead and bet I've played this game more than your average Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Andy. I loved this game. It's probably my favorite kart racer in terms of like online play and just like cosmetic unlocks and stuff like that. I remember when I first played this game, I was not expecting them to include the tracks from Crash Nitro Kart, and when I found out that they had, I was literally so surprised and overjoyed and stuff like that. And yeah, I wish this game was on PC because I would pick it up on Steam in a heartbeat. As it is, I've eyed it on Switch, and it's like, I don't know, it's one of those games that I absolutely adore, but maybe I've had my fun with it, and maybe that's okay. I don't have to love everything in perpetuity forever. But yeah, I really love Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. I think it's a triumph. And then we got Trackmania Stadium, which actually I've been playing recently. I love Trackmania Stadium. It's probably my favorite version of Trackmania. I started Trackmania with Trackmania Nations Forever, which is the free one. And I've considered picking up Trackmania United, but I kind of don't see the point when I already own Trackmania Stadium, which is kind of the same thing, but more modern. And for those of you who don't know what Trackmania is, it's a racing game where you're not racing against other people like as physical race cars at the same time. You're just competing for the best time within a limited amount of time against other live ghost cars. So like, if your mate is next to you, racing next to you or whatever, he'll be in a ghost car, you can't collide with each other. But like, you'll be able to restart your run and they'll keep going or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like synchronous time trial stuff. And it's based on like user created tracks most of the time. And it's really fun trying to like do your best. I'm not the best at this game, by the way, but there are servers of people who do nothing but play this game. And it's a wonderful time. Alright, I need to speed this up because we're getting deep into this video. So next up we got Counter-Strike 2. This used to be called Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I don't know why it's only got 1 achievement. That feels like a bug. But yeah, I played some Counter-Strike Global Offensive for a while, and I like to play against bots more than I like to play against real people. I thought it was fun. Assassin's Creed Origins is one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games ever made. I played the most amount of it on Xbox One. I was trying to go for 100%, but some of those final achievements are very grindy, like needing to complete literally every location on the map. But I was working on it before I ditched Xbox. Then we've got The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, 57 hours played. I love Skyrim. and I will talk more about it later. That is foreshadowing. It is a narrative device. Up next, we got Starfield. 58 hours, 39 minutes played. I unapologetically like Starfield. I really like Starfield. I wish I owned it because I played it on Game Pass. Game Pass continues to be the gift that does the opposite of giving. But yeah, Starfield. People hate Starfield. I never had the issues with it that other people did, where people found boredom in traversing randomly generated locations on planets. I found immersion. I found an appreciation for the fact that I was walking through the expanses of the moon or whatever. And yeah, I'm sure if I played it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, it would have got repetitive. Like, they were definitely radiant missions and stuff like that. But I actually didn't see everything this game had to show me in terms of narrative. I did finish the main storyline, and I did see what New Game Plus had to offer as well. And I did do some of the factions, but I didn't do every faction, and I do want to. However, I did pick up the DLC, and I didn't love that. I only got a couple missions into it, so there is that to consider as well. The Shattered Space DLC, I'm aware they've just put out a second one. But yeah, I'm not done with Starfield. I want to spend more time with Starfield. I just don't have Game Pass anymore, and I'm not going to get Game Pass again. And then, hey, you remember how I said I love Skyrim? Skyrim Special Edition. Didn't we just talk about that? Yeah, but that was on Xbox One. This is on Steam, so here's another 61 hours of Skyrim. We'll talk more about that later. Foreshadowing is a narrative device. Then we got Gary's Mod. How do you talk about Gary's Mod? I played some Gmod Murder. I played some Trouble in Terrorist Town, but I've never had a big enough group of friends who all wanted to play these games at the same time, so it's always been with strangers. How have I got 65 hours in you? I think I must have just spent a lot of time messing around in the sandbox. I think when I was... because it says 2015 here, right? I don't know if that's the date I picked the game up, it must be. When I was younger, I was fascinated with the idea of Gmod. In a way that I haven't thought about in a long time. But, yeah. But you know what I played more than Gmod? Coloring Pixels! Okay, this one might be a little weird. Oh, I've just realised I've got a new mouse. I can play Coloring Pixels again. I've got a mouse where I can actually move my mouse left to right without it wiggling all over the place now. Anyway, Coloring Pixels. 66 hours in Coloring Pixels. That's because this is one of those games I like to play when I'm listening to audiobooks sometimes. It's one of those, like, keep my left side brain occupied while my right side brain is enjoying a book. Maybe it's the other way around, I don't remember. But yeah, I listened to the end of A Wheel of Time while I was colouring in some pictures, and boy did I cry. But this is a game where it's very simple. It's like, let's say for instance a picture has 5 numbers, right? There'll be a grid, and there'll be like the numbers 1 through 5, and maybe 1 is red, 2 is blue, 3 is yellow, or whatever. You just pick the colour, you colour in the pixel, and eventually you get a picture out of it. This game has a ton of really cheap DLC because they keep adding pictures, because, I mean, it's got to be pretty easy, right? I mean, maybe that's me being ignorant, but look, it has 2,344 achievements. Do not go into this game hoping to 100% it. But yeah, I've only done the free stuff, and I've sunk this much time into it, so it's a good background kind of like I'm listening to an audiobook game to do, if you're not playing RuneScape at that current moment anyway. But more than 66 hours of Coloring Pixels, I've spent time playing Quake Champions. I enjoyed Quake Champions. Heretically, it's the only Quake game I've really sunk any amount of time into, but 71 hours played. It's an interesting one because they tried to mix the old style of Quake / Unreal Tournament arena shooter. I've just realised I've played this more than Unreal Tournament. That's kind of crazy to me. Anyway, they tried to mix that with like the Overwatch style heroes, and so you've got like you've got these different champions who have these different abilities, like being able to teleport from one place to the next, or being able to like run at a certain speed and like squish people underfoot or whatever. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. They also eventually added modes where like if you didn't care for that, you could disable like for different champions and all players like the same base level thing and just focus on the traditional Quake style gameplay. I had a good time with it. I did play it recently, and it didn't really grab me, but maybe that's because I was playing with bots. Maybe it's not as fun to play with bots in Quake as it is in Unreal Tournament, I don't know. Oh boy, hi Overwatch. Okay, so now we've got Overwatch for the Xbox. I didn't consider the fact that Overwatch on Battle.net, I have no idea how many hours I've got there. Probably 400 or 500 if I were to guess. maybe even 600, I don't know. But yeah, I played it on Xbox for a little while. I've got 74 hours played on Xbox, and not much else to say there other than my love for Overwatch waxes and wanes along with its quality. Then we got Diablo 4 at 81 hours, 19 minutes played. I did play it primarily on Xbox when it released. I do now have it on Steam, and the main reason I don't play more of it is because it doesn't... The file management on Steam is a mess. Whenever it wants to update, it re-downloads the entire game before it uninstalls the old version of a game. So you kind of need 300 gigabytes free at any given time if you want to be playing Diablo 4. And that sucks, especially when you run it off of an external SSD and some of the assets don't load as quickly as they should because you're bottlenecked by that. So that's not ideal. However, I'm interested in the new expansion and I do want to pick it up and play it at some point. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. So there you go. Diablo 4 opinions. I have a lot more baggage in terms of opinions, but we're going to leave it there. Because I've played more Pokemon Violet than I have Diablo 4. Pokemon Violet, 91 hours and 40 minutes. This is one I've been playing a lot recently. Most recently, I was doing the 7-star Terra raids. Is it? Whatever the highest one is, where they're doing the Mighty Mark versions of Pokemon, and they're actually really difficult. I actually don't think the Terra raids are designed very well. I actually preferred the Dynamax raids. They tried to solve some of the problems with the Dynamax raids, and they ended up making a worse experience. But Terra raids, you kind of have to get lucky if you're matching with randoms that people know what they're doing. And solo is definitely more viable, but when it comes to like the 7-star Terra raids, I've never managed to make a solo build work despite following it down to the letter. So that's frustrating. But yeah, in terms of Pokemon Violet in general, it continues the sword and shield thing of making a PvE endgame actually be a thing, so that's fun. I actually care about that, which is why I've sunk a decent amount of hours into this as compared to older Pokemon titles. And then the story sucks. I'm sorry, it does. Until like the last 2 hours, and then it's incredible. It's really weird. But they had a really strong idea with the narrative, but they only really capitalized on it for the last 2 hours of the game, and it's just bizarre. The DLC is fine. I preferred Sword and Shield's DLC. The DLC is fine. But yeah, Pokemon Violet, especially with my Switch 2 now, where it actually runs. I've grown to like Pokemon Violet. It'll never be one of my absolute favorite Pokemon games. I do still prefer Sword, but I've grown to like it for what it is. So there we go. I'm glad I gave it another chance. But yeah, Forza Horizon 5, I've spent 91 hours with this one. I don't like it as much as Forza Horizon 4, but I do still like it a lot. Forza Horizon 6 is coming out soon, and I don't know if I'm going to get it when it comes out. Partially because I'm trying not to give Microsoft all that much commerce from me personally, but also just because, I don't know, like, it looks really good. But at this point, I have 3 Forza Horizon games. If I really want to play a Forza Horizon game, I could just go play one of those. But yeah, 91 hours here, and then a few more hours on Steam, because again, Game Pass. But I'm not owning an Xbox anymore. Or I do own it, I just haven't plugged that guy in for like a year. But yeah, Forza Horizon 5, it's fun, it's cool, it's definitely got the best racing feel, the best physics out of all the Horizon games. The fast cars, it's weird, they're kind of like a little bit slower compared to Forza Horizon 4, or at least the feel of them is, but at the same time they feel like they've got tighter controls in general, and it's just a better game. So yeah, I prefer the racing, but I think I prefer Forza Horizon 4's environment. So that's my opinions on that. Okay, we're getting towards the end now. Next up, we've got Adventure Capitalist, the only idle game I've ever really properly played. 94 hours played. You can pay to win this, but I didn't. One of the reasons why I've got so much game time is because I refused, and it became an absolute slog, by the way. Would not recommend Adventure Capitalist, but I was just stubborn, and I finished the game. Hooray! There you go. Pokemon Sword, I've already mentioned, is my favourite modern Pokemon game, aside from maybe Arceus, depending on what aspects of the game we're focusing on. 98 hours, 42 minutes played. I expect Pokemon Violet will eventually outstrip that in terms of hours played, but there is still some stuff I haven't done in Pokemon Sword, like all of the Dynamax adventures and stuff like that in the DLC, and of course the Pokedex in both games. So yeah, I'm a Pokemon Sword apologist. we've now hit the stretch of time where we're far enough away from Pokemon Sword that we can actually talk about it in a positive light without people screaming us down, so that's nice. I've always liked Pokemon Sword. But yeah, Pokemon Sword, it's a good one. Then we've got Forza Horizon 4, there you are, 99 hours, 22 minutes played, almost 100 hours, that's a shame. I don't own this anywhere else, so this is all of my game time here. And yeah, this game, there's so much to do in it that I haven't even done it all, despite it being my favourite Forza Horizon. It's a shame as well. I've already said it's my favourite setting for a Horizon game, because a lot of the live service stuff has ended, even though like the servers are still up and there's like, you know, like rolling like live service things to do on repeat. You do get the feeling when you play it of like, this is the past. Maybe it's just because I played it so much during the time period that it came out in as well. But when I try and play the game now, I do get a little bit distracted by the feeling of like, you know, Forza Horizon 4's time has passed now. Like, I'm playing an abandoned game kind of thing, even though there's still players playing it and stuff. But yeah, that's how I felt last time I booted it up. But I do really love Horizon 4. It's got, and maybe I'm biased because I live in Great Britain. I'm not that patriotic, by the way, but you know, I like the environment of England, put it that way, and Scotland, I suppose. Never actually been to Scotland, but like as a location, it was represented very well in this game, and I enjoyed racing through it. Then we got Animal Crossing New Horizons, 102 hours and 13 minutes played. We're getting into the 100 plus hours mark. I have not played this game as much as a lot of people have, and I've barely touched the Happy Home Designer stuff, despite actually really liking it. What happened is I like hyper focused on designing a few rooms, and then the idea of starting another room design was a little bit like, oh boy. Like, I've just spent so much time in these other rooms, like I don't know if I've got this in me. I don't know how to explain that to like a neurotypical brain. But anyway, Assassin's Creed New Horizons, sorry, Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's not actually my favorite Animal Crossing game. It doesn't quite have the magic that some of the earlier games had. I don't know how to express that other than that. But it's still a very good game, and I very much enjoyed it, and I still play it from time to time. But yeah, there's New Horizons. Star Wars The Old Republic. I'm happy to see this up here so high. 104 hours, 52 minutes played. I probably sunk like a good 20 or so hours into this fairly recently when I finished the Sith Inquisitor storyline. But yeah, I will forever bang the drum that Star Wars The Old Republic is an underrated game. Not just an underrated MMO, but an underrated RPG. You don't have to give a shit about the MMO. If you like Mass Effect and you like Star Wars, you owe it to yourself to play Star Wars The Old Republic. It is a proper BioWare, choices matter, well-written, companion romancing RPG that you would hope to find. And of course, it's based on Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 as well. But it's aged really well visually speaking, and yeah, I'm exceptionally fond of Star Wars The Old Republic, and I keep coming back to it, and I hope that if this game ever goes offline, we get a way to play the RPG side of it offline, you know what I'm saying? Because it's too good to let die. You know, I've played more than Star Wars The Old Republic though? Minecraft! The basic Windows edition of Minecraft. I guess this would be the Bedrock edition? Yeah, I don't know if this is tracking all of my Bedrock edition hours. I feel like it would be a little bit more than 105 hours. I don't know when they started tracking this. Maybe it is all of my Bedrock edition hours. I don't know. Either way, it does bring to mind the Java edition of the game, which if I had to guess, probably about 500 hours. Maybe 300, 400, I don't know. But yeah, I like me some Minecraft. Everyone likes Minecraft, that's not a surprise. Also, a lot of people like Terraria. That's funny, seeing Terraria above Minecraft. It's only because I've played Minecraft on multiple platforms, and I think I've only played Terraria on Steam. And PS3. I played it a little bit on PS3, I think. But yeah, 106 hours played of Terraria. I've never finished Terraria, because Terraria never seems to be finished. It seems to keep getting updates. But I remember I beat a wall of flesh, and then I saw the world transformed and stuff. And then for whatever reason, something about the progression of that post-Wall of Flesh Terraria, I didn't gel with it. I kept finding like, wait, how do I progress again? Like, everything's really difficult all of a sudden, and I keep dying, and I don't know, maybe I was just done after I beat a wall of flesh. Maybe that was my end game, but there's definitely more game to Terraria, and I'll probably play it again one day, who knows. No Man's Sky on Steam, here we go, 122 hours. This was my original version of No Man's Sky, and it has returned to being my main version of No Man's Sky that I play. Of course, add this up with the Xbox version and the PlayStation version, I have more than 122 hours, but it was probably about 200 hours all told, if I had to guess. But yeah, I like No Man's Sky. What is there to be said that hasn't been said already? Greatest comeback story of all time. Comeback story? That's not the right way of saying it. The greatest, the most improved. No Man's Sky gets the most improved award alongside Cyberpunk probably, but I haven't really played Cyberpunk. But what have I played more than No Man's Sky? I'm trying to work it out by the achievement art up above. Oh, is this No, it's Halo the Master Chief Collection, of course it is. 127 hours, 34 minutes. I've played this on both Steam and Xbox. We might see it again at some point. I'm not sure what I've spent more hours in, but I've played every campaign and I've played a lot of multiplayer. So yeah, I love me some Halo. I love every Halo game, even 5. And it's nice to see you, Master Chief. Nice to see you among the greats here. Following the Master Chief Collection is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Oh my god, I love this game so much, dude. I played it on PS4. I got the Platinum Trophy. I actually didn't finish the DLC, much to my chagrin. Like, one of the things that interested me the most about Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the DLC. Like, there's a DLC called The Fate of Atlantis, where you go to Atlantis, and I wanted to see that so badly, and I never actually got there. But I did spend 128 hours trying to get there, and then my interest petered out a little bit into... I did the first round of DLCs, but it was like the first episode of the final DLC, I think. I was enjoying it. I'd spent a lot of time in Assassin's Creed Odyssey at that point, but I do own it on Steam, and I do intend to play it again. Cassandra is next to Ezio as the best Assassin's Creed protagonist. Could be an antagonist, you never know. Know what I'm talking about. And yeah, again, it has that bloat, that open world bloat. And I remember being frustrated with the pacing of this game because the story gets really interesting and it expects you to go and do side quests to level up enough to continue doing the main story. And that's a bit of a sin in my eyes. It should be completely optional. But yeah, I love the world of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I loved exploring ancient Greece as Cassandra, and I'm absolutely down to do it again. Okay, I wonder if there's going to be any more single-player RPGs. Actually, I know there is. Okay, I can think of one more single-player RPG that's going to be on this list, but other than that, I do wonder how many more there's going to be. It's going to be mostly multiplayer games from this point onwards, I think. And the next one is going to be RuneScape. Okay, so I tried the Steam version of RuneScape free for a while. This is a pittance. 134 hours, an absolute pittance. This does not count. I've played far more RuneScape than this, and we will get into that later. But yeah, I tried the Steam version for a little while because it got achievements and stuff. But anyway, after that, there it is, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, the original version on Steam. I legitimately perfected this game. It's probably my favorite perfection I've done. 159 hours, 25 minutes, and yeah, it's a masterpiece. What else can I say? It's one of my favorite games of all time. When people ask me what my favorite game of all time is, I swap between either World of Warcraft, Ratchet & Clank 2, or Skyrim. So yeah, it's up there. It's up there for sure. And just at any moment, ask me if I want to play Skyrim. I will be down to play Skyrim. I kind of want to go play it now that I'm thinking about it, so we're going to move on. More than that, I've played Halo Infinite for 162 hours, 15 minutes. I will never understand people who say that Halo Infinite sucks. The campaign, despite being a bit one-note in terms of environment, was fun. It was better than Halo 5, probably better than Halo 4. And the multiplayer is great. I just flat out do not understand the criticism. It's a wonderful Halo game. It's not the best, but it's up there, and it's great, and I had a great time with it. But moving on from Halo Infinite, we got... okay. Destiny 2. Sorry, why am I laughing? Remember when we reached Diablo 4 and I said I had baggage? I have a lot more baggage with Destiny 2. I loved Destiny 2. I mean, you know, it originally started out as a game on Battle.net, so I have more hours on it over there. Put the hours together, it's probably something like 300, 400 hours all told. And then a few things happened. Firstly, they started moving to a seasonal structure, and I didn't, as much as I was on board for it at the time, I ended up not enjoying it. I didn't like, the stories they told there felt both inconsequential and like, if I didn't play them, it would be a bit like FOMO and I might miss something important or whatever, which is an awful middle ground. And then I didn't like Shadowkeeper's the last expansion I played. It set up a big major thing, and then the seasonal storytelling after it kind of immediately ignored it, or only talked about it in the most abstract text logs. And I didn't love that. And then the big thing they did was delete content, especially like, this isn't the main reason I hate it, but delete content I had paid for. Like, straight up, I bought Destiny 1, which was certain planets, and it was the Red War campaign, which I really enjoyed, and you just can't play that anymore, and some of those planets. And they were like, we'll rotate them through, it was cut down on file size, but I think the development team fundamentally misunderstood what was worthwhile about their own video game, or at least the leadership did. And it is the only live game that I have ever enjoyed, but I have ever permanently quit and not come back to. I have not touched Destiny 2 since Shadowkeep, and I won't lie, I miss it, but I know that if I re-downloaded the game and got back into it, it wouldn't be the game I remembered, and I wouldn't be able to play the game I remembered. So yeah, there's my Destiny 2 baggage. I'll leave it at that. But I loved that game. I loved the campaign. I loved the PvP, which is rare for me. I loved the universe and the storytelling. But alas, mismanagement. Anyway, Guild Wars 2, 238 hours played, and I'm not even up to date on the story. That's how MMOs be sometimes. I've played up to Path of Fire. I've played a little bit of some alt characters and stuff, so it's not just straight up playing through the story. But yeah, I have a bit of a history with this one as well. For a while, I couldn't play it at all because a very rare bug was stopping me from continuing the story because I was getting locked in cutscenes. I found a workaround for it. It requires a VPN, weirdly, but unfortunately the free VPN I was using is no longer free, so I would have to pay a subscription to play this game, which prides itself on not having a subscription, so that kind of sucks. Except I did just decide to play through it I think from Path of Fire onwards without doing the VPN thing, and that bug did prop up once, but I think there was a checkpoint at the start of a cutscene, so I was able to just relaunch the game and continue, so that was really nice. But for the older content, yeah, I can't do it unless I got a VPN going, and it sucks. However, Guild Wars 2, sorry, as a video game, very, very fun, and I do want to play through more of it. I have more of it. I have up to End of Dragons, I think. So yeah, I wanna play through all that story at some point. It's just, I play through it in bursts because my attention span is rubbish. But yeah, I always have a really good time when I'm playing Guild Wars 2. Stay with me, we are nearing the end. Halo the Master Chief Collection, hello again. The Xbox version this time, so 291 hours plus 127 hours. So yeah, like I said, about 400 hours all told. I love me some Halo. I also love me some Elder Scrolls Online, Tamriel Unlimited. In fact, you will see here, I have 455 hours on Xbox and 488 hours on PC. These are two separate accounts because there is no cross-platform progression in this game. I started on Steam back shortly after the game launched, relatively speaking. I think it was like a year after the game launched. Then I changed to Xbox around the time of Blackwood because I just got my Xbox, and at the time I was viewing it as a bit of an upgrade to my PC in terms of performance. And then recently I've swapped back to Steam again because I have a better PC now and I don't play my Xbox anymore. So returning to that account, starting over on Xbox felt a bit weird. Returning to my Steam account felt a bit weird, but the game is fun enough that it's just fun to be progressing and unlocking things. So I wasn't worried too much about all that. And yeah, love me some ESO. So together that's almost 1,000 hours. How about that? That's a sign of things to come. Foreshadowing is a literary device, narrative device, but you know what I mean. Moving on. Okay. I'm not proud of this. My most played game on Exophase, at least. We'll talk in a minute about more played games. It's Fortnite. Actually, you know what? I'm sitting here laughing and saying I'm not proud of this, but actually, you know what these 626 hours represent? They represent me having fun with my friends. I hardly ever played Fortnite by myself. So actually, I take it back. I love that Fortnite's on top, because while we don't play it anymore, while we don't like how the developers embraced AI and all that stuff, and how we just kind of got bored of a game after a while anyway, what I will never regret is the literal hundreds of hours I spent playing Fortnite with my friends. It was such a good time. They were the best of times. They were the worst of times. No, they were just the best of times. And I did really like, a lot of the stuff. Like, I actually spent some money on skins in that game and stuff like that. I had the Batman skin and I had the Darth Vader skin and all that stuff. Fortnite did a pretty good job of being this place where these different universes could collide and come together, and that was pretty fun. And the way that they updated the map all the time and with seasons and everything, it was pretty fun. But yeah, just when I'm not thinking about it too hard and I see Fortnite at the top of my time played, I'm like, ooh. However, it is not my most played game, and allow me to show you what is. So first of all, here's a spreadsheet for my progression in Final Fantasy XIV, another MMO for those of you who are not aware. And mostly I've been playing on my main character, Tamara Seraphorn, and I checked his playtime the other day, and it came out to 35 days played. And how many hours is 35 days? 840 hours. So add up all the others as well, that's probably getting close to 1,000 hours in 14 now, which I do not regret because they have been some pretty fun times. Next up is RuneScape, where I do actually track the playtime itself on the different accounts I have, mostly 2 main accounts. Kritigri here was my main account where it's just a normal account, and I interfaced with Treasure Hunter back when that was a thing. I love being able to say that, back when that was a thing. I'm so glad they took that out of a damn game. But yeah, unfortunately, I started to feel like my progression was a little bit too aided with the free daily treasure hunter keys and stuff like that. So I eventually made an Iron Man character instead, who I eventually renamed to Kritigri YT in regards to the YouTube series. And I've actually played more of that character now. So 41 days plus 39 days plus a couple extra days, that's probably getting up to about 2,000 hours. So RuneScape, probably my second most played game of all time. And then finally, I haven't updated this spreadsheet in a little while, I'm afraid, but World of Warcraft is easily my most played game of all time. That's probably not a surprise to anyone who knows me. But yes, World of Warcraft with all my many characters. I did add up my game time not too long ago. I don't remember what it came out to, but I'm pretty sure it's more than RuneScape. Maybe not by a huge amount. Maybe they're similar. Maybe it's like 2,500 hours or something. But yeah, I've put a lot of time into World of Warcraft, and again, time well spent is time I will not regret. I've played this game, I've enjoyed this game, and I think a lot of the time as gamers we tend to be like, oh god, it's so embarrassing that I've spent this much time playing a game. Is it embarrassing that you spent that much time doing something that you enjoy? Like, sure, if it's at the expense of other things you might be enjoying more or furthering your life or whatever, but for me personally, weighing everything up, I've enjoyed my time in WoW, and I'm never going to regret that. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty much what I've got going on in terms of game time. There's probably a couple of ancillary games that I'm not taking into consideration that I've played, on PC outside of Steam, or some of the older Pokemon titles, like maybe on 3DS or something, I've spent a decent amount of time in. But as far as this video goes, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your most played games are down below if you like. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe for more, and I will catch you in whatever I make next.